getting up, running, working out, lifting, squatting, stretching.
I am talking about the powerful effects of physical activity.
Ooh, I'm gonna stretch out my groin, stretch out my hip flexors, the hamstrings, that squeeze this glute.
What's freedom got to do with it? I'm recording this at the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, which means that we cannot go to the gym. We will get fined $800 if we do pull-ups in the park. So we gotta work out at home. Now, I'm about to show you guys what I have in my training bag and some things that I have around my apartment that I use both in session and for my own workouts. When we come into the gym or the space that we will be using to work out, it's important to shake off the day, and that day includes your experiences, your stress, the patterns that you held on to. If you're at a computer desk all day, it's that internal rotation of the shoulders, that desk jockey vibe. We gotta get rid of that. We gotta open you up, we gotta potentiate the muscles and get you feeling like you are ready to exert your athleticism. So, one thing I like to do with clients is to foam roll. And we got lots. This is like Old Faithful. I take this with me everywhere. It's got these bumpy sides, which can be more acute when you're rolling, and it's got this flat side, which is a little more gentle. I like this foam because it's firm. I would not recommend any of that pool noodle nonsense. Doesn't do anything good for you. That blue roller is key. Another thing that's key is this. This is a Nike recovery ball. I wish I was sponsored so that they could just keep on sending these my way. This thing is amazing. It gets in a little deeper and more acutely to areas that the long foam roller cannot. And I like that. So if I have tight pecs or, my glute med is feeling a little tight and I need to roll that out, this is gonna do the job. If I have even more acute spots, we got you, because if I need to roll out a specific trigger point or I'm trying to roll along my spine, I can do that. This is a lacrosse ball. These are called yoga tune-up balls. These are a lot more soft, whereas the lacrosse ball will fuck you up. And I mean that in a good way, but don't expect it to come unannounced. You're gonna know what's happening when you're rolling with this device. Whereas this is a little nicer. And also, if you're trying to roll along the spine, there's a nice little groove created here naturally, and that's where your spine will sit. So your spine does not get any of the rolling action, only the structures on the sides of the spine. Additionally, I have this guy right here. This was formulated by Trigger Point, the brand. Trigger Point, the brand, also has Trigger Point
again. Say
Trigger Point
again. I dare you. I double dare you.
Trigger Point balls that you can use. They're covered in this same type of fabric. I'm a fan of their brand. I would say that this is good for rolling out your quads and your lats, where you need to get in a little more acutely, but you also want a wide surface area to work with. But if I were to pick one thing out of all of these rollers that I have here, the winner is the Nike recovery ball. This is gonna do the most, and if you don't have room in your bag or you don't have time, this is going to cover the most broad area of the body successfully, and it's not going to take up very much space. Next up, we have a yoga strap. This is made out of a woven canvas material, and it is not stretchy at all. It is just very firm, and it is good for lengthening your levers. So if you're not able to reach your toes when you're trying to stretch your hamstrings, guess what? Now your arm is as long as you need it to be. So instead of compensating and making some weird ass pattern to get yourself to touch your toes, you can maintain a neutral spine and use this instead. This is great, and these are relatively inexpensive, so definitely recommend. So the warm-up is coming to a close. We have really gotten into the muscles and gotten them open and gotten them potentiated for the patterns that we're going to be working in this workout. Now we want to get into a little bit of movement prep. So this is where we start to segue from the warm-up into the bulk of the workout. Bands. Now, I love a good loop band. These are actually mini loop bands or mini bands, depending on who you talk to. These things are incredible. They come in all sorts of resistances. This one happens to be light. It is very easy to get this thing to move. So if you are working a weak muscle, or you're just coming out of an injury, something like this will do you very, very well in multiple functions. So in the warm-up setting, these mini bands are amazing for getting your muscles to start contracting and start to feel that mind-muscle proprioceptive awareness. You can use other types of bands as well that do not have a loop, like they happen to be an open chain as opposed to a closed chain. And yeah, I got lots. These ones here, if you get a package of these where they range from light to XXX heavy, you're gonna look at about $20 out of your bank account, depending on the brand. But what you're gonna get out of this is everything. Like, these are incredible. You can layer them as well if you start to get very strong, and you can use it as a way to accelerate your fitness at home very easily. Those are not the only type of loop bands that I have. I happen to have some larger loop bands here as well, and these will start to become a lot more handy when we're getting into the bulk of the workout. So as you can see, they are a closed chain. It's a full loop, hence the name loop band. We've got 3 different ones here. And I find for myself, and for general population, like if you're not working with elite athletes or, just more intricate situations, having these 3 alone is going to do the job for you. So the red one here, this has about 10 pounds of resistance. This purple one here, that's about 15 pounds of resistance. Green one, that's about 30 pounds of resistance. So if I'm working with this, I can do rows, I can do overhead presses, I can get into deadlifts and things like that. These are just a couple examples of how I can use these loop bands. When I start to get into the heavier ones, now I have something to help me with assisted pull-ups. Because this has 30 pounds of resistance, or this has 15 pounds of resistance, when you use this in your workout, what that's going to do, if you're doing pull-ups for example, it's going to subtract whatever the resistance is from your body weight, making it that much easier for you to do a pull-up and practice the technique without having to use your full body weight. Last in the way of bands, here we have bands that have a handle. So these are pretty cool. The band itself is interchangeable. So what I can do is I can take out one and I can replace it with another depending on the workout that I am performing. So in this case, if you can find a brand that has these handles and has the proper fitting band to go with it, get a couple of them so that you can really challenge yourself where you need to be challenged, and you can improve and work out properly in the areas that you are lacking in. Now, personal preference, I have to say these are not something that goes as used in my bag as the other things that we're going to talk about today, but that being said, they're still very handy. The biggest concern that you're going to have in a lot of cases is anchor point. So being able to hold this somewhere, whether that's on a door or a wall or really anywhere else that you can loop it around so that you can perform the exercise without the risk of that happening. Because what you see here would equate in a lot of situations a broken nose. So make sure you have a secure anchor point if you are going to use these for rows and things like that. So by now we're pretty deep into the bulk of the workout. So we're going to talk about things that you can use to really get your muscular strength and endurance up. So first thing we got here is a medicine ball. For me and my goals right now, I am happy with a 10-pound one. And I have to say that this is something that I don't typically bring with me to session, especially if I'm traveling, because it's 10 pounds. So in that way, this is something that I will leave at home. And like I said before, all of these things, if you are a personal trainer, I think that you should be recommending your clients to have their own supply of all of these things so that they're not codependent on your supply. You want to make sure that they can start their warm-ups before you arrive in session, and that they can also do everything they need to on the days that you're not seeing each other. This is called an ab roller. So this thing is great. You can use it for more than just ab rolling, but generally it is used for this kind of motion here. And it's a very challenging exercise. It not only works your abs, but it also helps the relationship between your abs and your shoulders with a muscle called your serratus anterior. So that muscle is the union between your abdominals and your pectorals, and it can really help you to translate your core strength into upper body strength and capability as well. Now, this doesn't go in my bag, but this guy right here, I think everyone should have one of these at home. I use this for doing dead hangs, and that way I can train my grip strength pretty well. I cannot currently do a full pull-up myself, just I don't have the upper body strength for it, so I can do an assisted pull-up with this in multiple ways. I'm going to talk about another one shortly. But this guy is great for a lot of upper body stuff. You can do a lot of ab stuff with this too, and this is also going to act as one of those anchor points that I was talking about earlier. So get one of these guys and a sturdy doorway. Parents are not supposed to have a favorite child, but a lot of them do. I definitely do. Out of all my children here, these guys are my absolute favorite. I love these. They are called Olympic rings. So these guys attach to this strap right here. These straps are great. They're very, very strong, like Kevlar type material, and they are numbered as well. So as long as you have both of them hanging at the same height, you will always know that if you adjust it, you have them both in unison. So you have two of these here. And so for the purpose of this video, I am not gonna set them up as I sit here, but just, you know, let's have a little imagination game. So again, if I am not at a full pull-up yet, or perhaps I am, but my form is shit, these guys can help. So what I can do is I can have my pull-up bar up, I can have the straps put to the pull-up bar pretty high, because you want to make sure you can take your arms over your head. When your arms are over your head, your feet are still going to be on the floor, but you can perform this motion. And when you do that, you're going to use your feet to push yourself up while you use your arms and your lats, back muscles, to pull yourself up. And what that's going to do is going to allow you to choose how much weight you are applying to that pull down motion. Other things that we can do with these are inverted rows, which are a lot of fun, and you can change the plane angle that you're using as well to make it harder or more easy. And you can get some push-ups in with these. We can do a lot of unilateral one-arm action and a lot of abdominal exercises if you have either your hands or your feet in the hoops. Now, these are incredible. They have this side here, which is fabric, great for sliding on hardwood or tile. And they also have a hard side here, great for sliding on carpet. These guys clock in at $6, and they can help you with your hamstrings, they can help you with your abs, they can help you with your shoulders, your chest, you name it, your inner thighs, your butt. Like, come on, get yourself some of these. Side note, if you don't have sliders, but you do have that tile or hardwood floor, this is all you need. A couple extra tidbits that I have. This pad here is very dense, kind of spongy material. It's great for saving your knees when, you know, a mat just doesn't cut it for you, or even your butt, because a lot of us out here, whether we talk about it or not, let's end the stigma, we get a sore butt when we're doing exercises like, say, a V-sit. You know, for a lot of us, that's like you're right on your tailbone. So this guy right here, that's gonna save you. And trainers, for your clients, if they have arthritis, if they're aging, if they're overweight, this guy is gonna save those joints and allow that workout to last a little bit longer. I wanted to talk for a second about something that you don't need for your home fitness routine. This. Get rid of it. Now, I am a big believer in having your fitness goals be oriented around performance based, or how you feel, your health, your ability to move well and perform well in each of your movements. What you don't need to focus on is the number of how big your butt is or how small your butt is. You know, if you are starting to find yourself focusing on those goals, then that's, you know, that's your business and that's your prerogative. But at the same time, those things are ultimately not going to bring you the happiness and satisfaction that a fitness journey can give you. I think that there is, you know, a lot of variables that come into play with making someone psychologically happy, making them healthy and fit. And those things can happen without having to look at your body fat percentage every day, without having to count your weight, without having to, again, look at these circumference measurements. And personally, I'm all about data. I love data, but more than I love data, I love a happy, healthy client who is fed and able to come into session and get shit done, crush it. Not worry about fussing over things that do not change how valuable they are as an athlete or a human being. This is going to be the end of today's video. That is everything that I have in my training bag and the things that I use to work out at home. Did I miss something? And if you have any questions about anything that I mentioned, let me know, because I know I didn't